Are you a fan of Breaking Bad?
I am, yes. I'm especially a fan of how nobody seems to get that Bryan Cranston's the bad guy.
Ooh.
Bryan Cranston is like a chameleon made of honey, in that he can blend into the background of any TV show and make it oddly sweeter as a result. Cranston is arguably one of the most versatile actors in all of Hollywood, something we can prove by talking about how he landed the role of Walter White on Breaking Bad in the first place.
So was there another role which led to him getting this role?
There was, and it's oddly enough like one of his lesser known ones, because before Bryan Cranston was, breaking all that bad on Breaking Bad and just being a lovable goofball on Malcolm in the Middle, he played a small part in an episode of The X-Files called Drive, where he plays a racist whose head explodes. And if you think that sounds stupid, congratulations on making it this far in life without seeing an episode of The X-Files.
Before we move on, I need to just ask, how on earth does his head explode?
Oh, that's because in the episode it's revealed that the government placed a radio transmitter below his house, which causes him, searing headaches, which at the end of the episode culminate in his head exploding. Did you see recently that band Who Played? And they had a sign in the background that said Nazi lives don't matter, and people got really annoyed about it.
I've not seen.
Yeah, I think it was Rage Against the Machine, or maybe it was Tom Morello or something like that. But yeah, people got mad about the idea of saying Nazis suck. Is there anything that just sums up contrarian assholes more than, well, you can't be violent against Nazis? It's something that's a group of people that have universally been agreed to be the most acceptable target for violence in all forms of media. Do you ever feel bad when you see a Nazi get killed in anything?
No, it's there was one game, and I can't remember the name of it. But
it'll be Wolfenstein.
It could well be, where you shot Hitler in his I'm going to say bollocks.
No, that might be Sniper, game, the Sniper game, where they had a DLC mission, potentially the greatest DLC mission ever, where it's you change history by getting a chance to assassinate Hitler.
Yeah.
And there's so many videos online of people sniping it through the nutsack. It's like Inglourious Bastards, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where they put in that clip of him kicking down the door and just machine gunning Hitler, and they put in the extra scene of just his entire body just getting mincemeat made out of it by this machine gun. And then you just get those guys, and when I say those guys, everyone knows who I mean, except for those guys.
Yeah.
And it is, come on guys, all you're doing by saying this is perpetuating the cycle. So fuck you, Nazis deserve to get their ass kicked. Anyway, Bryan Cranston.
So how did Cranston land the role of a racist whose head explodes?
Well, he got that role because Vince Gilligan, the director and creator of Breaking Bad, actually, directed that episode, and he specifically chose Bryan Cranston because he was familiar with some of his, even earlier work, and he thought that Bryan Cranston is the only actor I know who can make a fundamentally unsympathetic character, a fucking racist, sympathetic, purely through the power of his acting. So he chose Cranston for that role, and obviously, by all accounts, fucking nailed it.
How did this role help him land Breaking Bad then?
Well, when Vince Gilligan was pitching Breaking Bad to AMC, they asked him who he had in mind for the role of Walter White, a teacher turned drug kingpin. And he went, I want Bryan Cranston. And AMC went, you're the guy from Malcolm in the Middle. And Vince Gilligan went, yes, the guy from Malcolm in the Middle. I know he's a fantastic actor. I know he can pull it off.
Yeah.
And obviously AMC were a little bit unconvinced about this, because obviously at the time, they only knew him as, the dad from Malcolm in the Middle, as I think most people did when, that show was first announced. It's Hal Wilkerson is now going to, become a drug kingpin.
Point and bump and point and bump and point and bump and then we glide.
I mean, in Malcolm in the Middle, he was a bit of an idiot.
Yes, a huge, he's basically a man-child in that show.
Yeah. So it's just weird to think that it became Walter White.
Yeah, and you can see why AMC would be a little more than concerned that this guy, insert picture of him dressed ridiculously from Malcolm in the Middle, could carry a very serious role that required him to play a very threatening, evil character. And what Vince Gilligan did is he went and he dug up that old episode of X-Files that he directed, and he sent it to AMC.
Yeah.
Before we talk about the result, we need to talk about comedic actors we think could pull off really threatening evil roles. Because I want to give a big shout out to Steve Carell, because there is a specific episode of The Office, I think it's where Dwight goes to the dentist,
Yeah, apparently.
and Steve Carell just stands there, and like the comedic facade is just fucking gone.
Yeah.
And it's just pure intensity coming from his eyes. And he goes, so, where have you been?
Sounds like a good dentist.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
And it's so scary. Like, I saw that and went, he'd make a fucking fantastic villain in a movie.
Yeah.
I want to see him like flex his acting chops and be a bad guy just to see. So it reminds me a lot of John Cryer, the actor from 2.5 Men.
Yeah.
Where, like, you know, he's an idiot who's basically always down on his luck, and now he's Lex Luthor. And he's actually a pretty good Lex Luthor. Like, you think he goes from basically the butt of every joke in that show to the smartest, most influential and powerful human man in the DC universe, and he did it flawlessly.
I was the man of tomorrow, not him! Not him!
Or the other one of, I think it was John Travolta, was struggling with going bald, and then he spoke to Pitbull, and Pitbull talked to him like, mate, it's time. And I love the idea that someone came up with that men in Hollywood only go bald when Pitbull says it's time.
So when AMC saw this episode of Drive, what happened next?
Well, they agreed with Gilligan that, yeah, this is the guy we can get in to play Walter White, because he can simultaneously be like a loathsome, horrible, like objectively terrible human being while also projecting just this air of sympathy about him, and you just feel bad. And that's how he became Walter White. So if anyone out there is thinking, oh man, it's like, I don't feel like I'm ready or suitable for this job, just remember that Bryan Cranston managed to land the role of his career coming off the back of Malcolm in the Middle because of one shitty role he played on a TV show 20 years prior, where he played a guy whose head exploded.
So, like, Bryan Cranston was a bad guy in the last season.
Of Breaking Bad, yes. But like, a lot of people didn't know he was the bad guy, which is something that I find quite funny, because there's a quote from Vince Gilligan where he says something like, Bryan Cranston, I hired him because he could play a character like Walter White, he starts as a protagonist and he ends as the antagonist. So he is the bad guy of the last season, but people still think that his character's really cool or a badass in that show.
Can't let go of the previous seasons.
Yeah, and it's really strange to me. And there's something I did. I watched all of Breaking Bad again recently when El Camino came out. I want to catch up on the show.
Yeah.
And there's something I invite people to go do if they fancy rewatching it. And that's watch the show with the idea in mind that Walter White is always an asshole. He doesn't break bad. He doesn't snap and then become a villain. He was always an asshole, he just never had any power. Because there are moments in season 1, before he becomes Heisenberg, where you can see the facade of Walter White, the mild-mannered chemistry teacher, melt away. And you see the entire demeanour of Bryan Cranston's face change. A couple of episodes into season 1, there's a scene where they're talking about the meth problem or something like that, and it zooms in on Walter White, and you can just see him smiling as he grips his wife's thigh, and you can see him, he's getting a huge throbbing hard-on.
And the next day they found out over half of the students were high on LSD. LSD? What were you going to tell us about LSD? No, please. No.
And it just added a whole extra layer to the show for me, watching it and looking for these little moments where just Walter White slips away and Heisenberg immediately comes out saying, yeah, he was always this guy. It's just he had an excuse to become it, and that excuse obviously was his family. And then it goes on into later season, you see it more and more shift away. So he just admits in the final episode, I did it for me. It was all for me, and people still think he's the good guy. I like that final episode. We do spoilers where he gets shot.
Yeah.
And people think, he does it because he wants to go save Jesse and help his family. It's like, no, he doesn't. He does it because he can't stand the fact that people are besmirching his name because he's too good. My headcanon for it is when he hears that blue meth's on the market, it's not that he wants to go save Jesse. It's that he's annoyed that someone thinks that Heisenberg's back. And that they'll catch Jesse and think, oh no, he's Heisenberg.
Yeah, he's going to take the glory.
Yeah, and he doesn't want anyone to take his glory. And when he goes to, is it Gretchen and all that shit? He goes, take my money, only my money, to give to my kids. And it's he's still just this tiny, insecure man who can't deal with the fact that other people are more successful than he is or stuff like that. I think my favourite moment of Breaking Bad, and it's the one where you just see that, this is what Heisenberg is. He's not a super genius drug kingpin. He is just a fucking whiny, needy asshole. It's where they're selling like the methylene or whatever it is, like the big 1,000 gallons of the blue meth making shit.
Yeah.
And he stands there, and like some guy from another state goes, "The fuck are you? What are you doing here? Like we're supposed to be talking to Mike." And he steps out in like full Heisenberg gear and goes, "You know who I am?" And the guy goes, "No, I don't."
Mike, please tell me. This is a joke. Why the hell would we want you?
And at that point where you can see in his eyes like, oh, yeah, I'm not the big dick I am that I thought I was. And he completely unfazed him. And he talks like, it's worth more in my hands than it is in yours. It's like, they don't care though. No one cares like about this blue meth, mate, because you're literally selling something to meth heads. They don't give a fuck.
No, they just want it.
Yeah, that moment for me is my favourite moment where you just see him, he pulls the "Do you know who I am" card, and the guy just goes, "No, I don't, and I don't care." And it's great. And then no one sees that, yeah, Heisenberg isn't like the genius he thinks he is. He's just like a petty asshole who can't, like, accept, when things don't go his way. Before we go, though, we have to just talk about like my favourite misunderstood part from Breaking Bad, and that is the famous "I am the one who knocks" line, because you must have seen all the merch with that on.
Yeah.
And usually it's like, the Heisenberg hat, the glasses with "I am the one who knocks," and you think, this is a super badass line. Everyone always forgets that the context for that line is Walter screaming at his wife after she tells him he's a fucking loser. He's an insecure man just like hissing at his wife saying, "No, I'm a big deal."
You are in over your head. That's what we tell them. That's the truth.
No, it's not the truth.
Of course it is.
And yet that becomes the thing people put on t-shirts that, yeah, what a badass character. Look at him shouting at a terrified woman. That is a big deal.